What's up, collectors? Man, it's your boy Tony the Toyrat, back with another rigorous resin review for new PVC pre-used or previewed, and this one's all new to me, and I've been waiting to get it because it's Magneto, of course. Did my little Spanish spin on it, and we're about to unbox it. So let's go. Everybody who's an MCU fan knows Magneto is one of the biggest, baddest villains in all of the Marvel Universe. Level 5, or is he optimal? I can't even remember. He's way overpowered, okay? And now we're going to open him up. And I have been waiting for this. Now, it is important for me to note that if you look on Amazon right now, you will find this guy like $100+. So it's important for you to visit the comic shops. I found this at Ultimo, my local comic book shop, and it was still at the regular price of $59.99. So, if you can afford $59.99, I would suggest, oops, I got the last one, so never mind. Alright, cool. I do want to point out, back of the box here, kind of cool. It's got just a picture of them, but you know, the Toyrat doesn't keep boxes, so we are going to slide Magneto out of his cage. Hold this right here. This box is nothing worth keeping, so what do we need to do? Save the environment and recycle! Recycle! Alright, handy dandy little scalpel tool for one more time here. And make sure I get rid of the little tape jobbies. I think that's all I really need here. Just the one. I might be wrong. I am wrong. There it is. Alright, guys. Ooh, Magneto. Okay. I'm gonna put him right here for a second. And this is all just plastic. You want me to do the plastic? We recycle it. Now, this is what I've been waiting to open the entire time. Magneto, cape fluttering in the wind, powers charged up in his hands, looking like he's getting ready to ball up and fight somebody. This is badass. And now, with no further ado, we're going to give him a full body spin, and then we'll have a quick chat about him. Here we go. Magneto. This is Magneto. Let's go.
On X-Men.
Alright, Collector Fam, we have returned. You just got to see the full Magneto unbox and then a full body spin. Let's have a quick conversation about Magneto. He was born Eric Lenscher, and that wasn't the original name they gave him, but I won't go too far into it because we can go down a rabbit hole there. Let's just go with who played him in the movies, Sir Ian McKellen, and in that film, we saw him in Auschwitz, branded with a number that they gave all of the Jews in the concentration camps. That was not the genesis of his power originally, but remade for the films. Okay, just so we're all clear on that. His debut was in 1963. It was X-Men #1. And this was, of course, developed by the late, great Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So he's had several iterations and rebirths throughout the many decades, but one thing has remained true, and always will. He's an Omega level mutant who really doesn't like humans too much. Why? Because he's been through it all before and knows that they just want to use the mutants for what they can and then discard them later. That being said, in this diorama, which happens to be one of the last before the collapse of Diamond Select Toys, rest in peace. Now, I am looking at this solely from a standpoint of the comic books because that's what they tried to embody the most. That's actually what they said on the back of the diorama box, was that this was based in Magneto from the Marvel Comics. So let's take a good hard look at the things that we always start with. And the first thing is the portrait, the portrait, the portrait. Because if it doesn't look like who it's supposed to look like, yeah, you've already failed. Now, they have the benefit of having put him in costume. It's not like you could look at anybody else in the Marvel Universe and mistake this costume for that person. No. This is Magneto's costume. So I'm going to give them a 3 cheese. We skipped ahead on the costume, but the reason I did that is because I don't really love the portrait so much. Let me scoot in here and let you guys take a good look at this face here. Now, clearly they've given him a much younger depiction in this one here. And he is obviously more strong, muscular. So, you get this vivacious youth feel from him. What I have a problem with is some of the facial features. Yes, his eyes are lit white, but it also looks like he doesn't have eyebrows. At least not to me. I mean, I don't. You guys tell me. You guys seeing eyebrows in there too much. And this evil grimace thing that he's got going on is also quite interesting. And I'm not sure I love the exact fit of the helmets. However, we know it's Magneto because of the rest of the costuming, and that helmet is a dead giveaway. So, on portrait, I'm going to give it 2 cheese. You guys can disagree with me if you want. If you've got yours, I'd love to hear in the comments what you feel about how they did with that portrait. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could portray him. They've shown him with a beard. They've shown him no beard. They've shown him older. They've shown him younger. And clearly this is a younger depiction. Also to note, this is comic book accurate, as we still have the underwear over the, the tights scenario going on here, which is classic Magneto. Again, there's been several iterations, some of which where it has a giant M on his chest. I can't stand that. Why do you need to put an M on there? It's like back in the old days when you had to put a G for Galactus and an A for Apocalypse. It's just an unnecessary thing that they did there. Okay, that being said, I will jump back into the next portion of that, which is the costuming. We've already started talking about the costuming. I think they nailed that, right? They did this, I'm not sure what you call this giant metal purfling that goes all around the armor part of his chest. That holds the cape in place. And it always looked to me like it would be uncomfortable. these rivets that are going all the way around. That being said, comic book accurate to a fault. And the color schema is exactly right. They've got this really dark red, magenta if you want, and then almost like a purple. Purple, it's not exactly purple. It's like bordering purple, blue and purplish all together. So I can appreciate that on costuming. I'm going to go ahead and give them 3 cheeses. All right, so we've done portrait and we've done costuming. So the next thing we need to look at is dynamic pose. Now, guys, that's pretty dynamic. Now, he's in this sort of front lunge on the right knee, as you can see, coming forward at you. But in the background here, he's got his power set, the magnetism, balling up here. So you can only assume that he's going to project that power somewhere. And he's got this grimacing face on him right now, which basically says, I am going to destroy whatever is in front of me. And you know that he's come down fast. How do we know he's come down fast? Look at the cape. The flow of the cape suggests that he's come in hot because it's still fluttering and he's already on the ground. If it wasn't on the ground, you might have a different idea here, but he landed in this pose and the cape hasn't even had a chance to settle down as of yet, which I really like. Also, I want to take note, this is really hard plastic on the cape. There isn't any real movement to it at all. I don't think it needs to have any movement. I can appreciate the reason they did it that way. They don't want it to get messed up. Awesome. Okay. So on the dynamic pose front, 3 cheeses. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I'm giving him 3 cheeses. He's got a whole lot of motion here. His power buildup is in both arms. He's got his face kind of grimacing. He's lunging forward, and the cape is fluttering in the wind. That's the reason for my 3 cheeses. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, which is the last part of this, and it is the diorama itself. Now, even though they said that this particular character was based on something from Marvel Comics, they didn't say exactly what they used for the reference. And that's interesting to me. Could this be Genosha? Genosha, which is the area Magneto took over so that the Brotherhood of Mutants can go live in peace away from humans? Or could this be a piece of Asteroid M, which at one point he wanted to send hurling towards Earth and kill all the humans? Not entirely sure. What I will say is, what I don't like is if this is rock down here at the bottom, they should have chose a different color. I don't think the blue is necessary for the rock in this, and you can see that all the way around. Now, one might argue that it is because of this blue power set, and maybe that's illuminating the rock here, but then you would see other colors embedded here, like grays and blacks and things like that. So I don't love that they did the blue so much. You can see that there is metal on the backside, especially. You can see these pieces protruding upward. And in the power set, it's actually using his magnetism to pull the metal up from the ground from whatever it used to be to what he's going to use it for, which is basically probably to hurl it at someone and try and kill them. Now, they did that on both sides of the diorama. I think they did that for stability's sake, and also to give us a little bit more to look at. You can see at the front here, the metal is twisting. It's twisting, pretty tightly all together, and you can see that it's coming up on the back side here. I'm not sure you guys can see that on the back side. Let me pull that up there, right there. So it's actually like arcing over and towards them, again, giving that appeal of this motion where he's in the middle of a fight there. So I appreciate that. Again, I'm gonna give them a little bit of feedback on the color schema. Why is all of the metal green? I don't know. It's an interesting color choice. Most metal that you and I would have seen nowadays is probably not green. It could have been any number of colors, and they chose to make all of it green. In the same way they chose to make all the rock blue. I'm not a fan of those two choices, okay? But I do see that there is an attempt here to give us a platform that not only steadies him on the base, but also tells us a little bit about what's going on. So again, I'm guessing at whether this is Genosha or Asteroid M or somewhere else that he's just having a battle with. But at least we know there is something happening here where he's using his powers to make the next move, as far as that's concerned. You do know, without me telling you, this guy is the nemesis of the X-Men. He formed the Brotherhood of Mutants to fight the X-Men, which have a whole host of characters we're not going to get into right now. Let's take a look at the base. He is pinned down in two locations where his feet are. You can see this is one here, and that's where the foot is here. And you can see the other one is right back here, and that is where this foot is being lifted up as he's moving forward. There is no wiggle, there is no wobble when he sets down. I don't have a problem with the shake. So all in all, I really like what was done here. I really do. Now, I think if you are going to make a purchase here, check the secondary markets before you go buying from one of the big box stores. The big box stores all have this at an inflated rate. Why? Because they're not making them anymore. Diamond Select Toys says bye-bye. So whatever's left is whatever's left, and they're charging you and they're banging you upside the head for it. So don't fall for the okie doke. Stop at your local comic book shop or your toy shop and patronize them instead, and maybe you can get a better deal on something like this. I really appreciate what was done. And now I had this 6-scale Professor X here, which is all resin, also a Diamond Select Toys, and I think I'm going to pose these guys together because scale-wise they're the same, even though I hate that they didn't finish out the rest of his, his wheelchair, his floating wheelchair. But that being said, all in all, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 3 cheeses. This is a strong 2, guys. I'm really being nitpicky. But I do think he belongs in your collection if you're an X-Men fan. And who's not an X-Men fan? What I'm really curious about is when they start showing them in the MCU, Are they going to put his underwear on the outside of his pants or not? These are the questions that we're dying to know. Until then, this is your boy, Tony the Toyrat, for the former Diamond Select Toys, X-Men, Marvel, our friend Magneto, and I am out. Go get your clothes if you can find them.